Another Stephen King adaptation, another shot at The Running Man. We've got Glen Powell, Edgar Wright, in a story that somehow feels more relevant than ever, but does it actually deliver with all of that potential? The Running Man is the latest Stephen King adaptation, and it follows Ben Richards, a guy desperate for money to save his sick daughter, as he participates in the top-rated television show The Running Man, a deadly competition where contestants must survive for 30 days while being hunted by professional assassins. Ratings soon skyrocket as Ben's defiance, instincts, and grit turn him into an unexpected fan favorite, as well as a threat to the entire system. Now, if you know me at all, you know that I'm an old-school action guy through and through, but I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love Arnold Schwarzenegger and adore a good deal of his pre-2000s action films, his version of The Running Man isn't one that I'm too big of a fan of. It kind of loses the plot and is overly campy to the point that I'm pretty much just waiting for it to end, honestly. But when I heard they were attempting to make a more modern version that wasn't quite so out there and was also a little more grounded, it got my attention a bit. So when I sat down to watch this film, I was hoping for Edgar Wright to really show me why he thought this story was worth adapting for a second time and give me a non-stop action banger from beginning to end. And The Running Man, unfortunately, doesn't live up to that expectation, even if there is some fun to be had, and it's better than the original attempt almost 40 years ago. When it comes to the story they decided to go with here, from what I'm told, this is a lot closer to the original narrative that the book put forward than whatever it is we got back in 1987. Sorry to say that Buzzsaw and Dynamo aren't parading around like they're auditioning for a Kiss cover band anymore, but a guy evading assassins for 30 days to claim a boatload of prize money to help his sick kid is definitely a pretty easy concept to buy into, no matter which way you look at it. The original Stephen King novel just so happens to actually take place in 2025, oddly enough, so it's almost too perfect that we're getting an updated version at this point in time, and it has a lot to say about how entertainment can be weaponized through the lens of not only ridiculous and over-the-top reality TV programs, but across the media that we're all consuming in general. Unfortunately, around probably that 70-minute mark, when a certain female character gets added to the mix, the story gets thrown into disarray and the pacing comes to a screeching halt. Obviously, not exactly what you want to see happen in an action movie about a guy that literally has to run for his life. What happens before that is good, what happens after that is good, but there's a 30-minute chunk in there that really does some damage to the overall experience. Knocks it down a peg from well-crafted action movie to just forgettable fun at the cinema. Getting into the performances a little bit, obviously Glen Powell is the big draw for this movie as our main character, but he's still got an impressive supporting cast backing him up every step of the way. I mean, we've got Josh Brolin, Coleman Domingo, and even my boy Michael Cera is out there getting in on the action in this one. He's a welcome addition to any roster. But I've been a big fan of Glen Powell since the beginning. I mean, we're talking about the Spy Kids 3D days. We go way back. And above all else, the guy has this effortless way about him to come off as super likable and just oozes that movie star charisma every second he's on screen. You're rooting for him every step of the way here, and the actual plot and the obstacles in his path do a lot of the heavy lifting already when it comes to making you want to see him succeed. So it results in a pretty sincere and entertaining performance. I will say though, he's playing a pretty angry dude this time around, which can take some getting used to, but the heart does come through. Of the supporting characters, Coleman Domingo is the one out there giving the most memorable performance by far. He's having the time of his life playing to the crowd and hosting this reality show where people get their ticket punched left and right. The guy really brings the comedy and should probably be in every movie ever, honestly. Let's talk about the action we come face to face with in this movie, because I feel like Edgar Wright is a director who doesn't really get enough credit for how well crafted and bombastic some of the action sequences in his projects can be. I mean, you look at films like Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Hot Fuzz, and there's some seriously meticulous and entertaining stuff packed in there, even if it's not always the focal point. What we get here in The Running Man is a little less nuanced and calculated than what we can usually expect from him. I feel like he's trading in some of his signature charm for more big, tried and true blockbuster thrills. And let's be honest here, for people who are huge fans of his, that might end up being a little bit disappointing because you're looking to get a healthy dose of his secret sauce in this film, but it all still amounts to a decently entertaining ride when the bullets are flying all over the place. You just might not be able to immediately tell you're watching an Edgar Wright movie as much as I would have liked. It's plenty exciting and comedic, but it feels like any old decent action director could have taken the reins in this one, which is not what I wanted to happen. Overall, guys, The Running Man is a messy but fun time at the movies, even if its story takes a deflating turn around the halfway point and the action doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Glen Powell does the best with what he's given and continues to make a name for himself with that movie star charisma, even when Edgar Wright isn't offering up even close to his best stuff. enough. It's definitely better than the movie we got back in 1987, but not nearly as polished and memorable as I was hoping it would be to warrant getting a retelling after all these years. The Running Man gets a Sully score of 3 stars. So that's my review of the latest Edgar Wright film. What do you think is your favorite movie that he's ever done? I think I have to go with Shaun of the Dead, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.